Who's next? I think we should look at grape production. I mean, there are huge monocultures around here. We don't sort of see them through the same lens, but we have acres and acres, hectares and hectares of land planted to the same thing, which is grapes. There might be a couple different varieties of grapes, and I think it would be interesting to figure out how to diversify grape vineyards. There are people doing it. I know people in Northern California, for example, who plant in between the rows. They plant legumes to fix nitrogen. They plant flowers to attract pollinators, and it's quite beautiful. But there's this tendency in Europe, especially, just to have clean, nothing in between, as if any plants there would rob the grapes. But the grapes are very deeply rooted, and it's not really a concern. Plus, they would hold moisture. And then you have other people who are grazing animals in between the rows, and that's very interesting. Now, it has to be done very carefully because some of the animals like to eat grapes. So you have to prune in a certain way. But why not run animals through grape vineyards in order to provide fertility and cut the lawn, cut the grass in between? So I think we have to think that way. Whenever we see a monoculture, there's a lot of pesticide applied to grape vineyards, and the reason they need it is because there's too much of one species. And whenever you have a monoculture, you're going to have pests, whether they're diseases or insects. And whenever you have monoculture, you're going to need to apply fertilizer. So, yeah, I think that's one we should take a look at. I haven't studied it closely. I know a lot more about corn, but basically the same rules apply. Okay, thank you. I think we're going to find, and we're starting to find, that a healthy, people sometimes say, what should we eat? What plant should we eat? And my answer is eat a lot of different plants. They do different things for us. We kind of put them under that one category of plant. But every plant produces different kinds of antioxidants that do different things. And let me give you the example of the microbiome, the human microbiome, which we're just learning about, the importance of the bacteria that live in our gut. We've understood for a long time that they like fiber, those microbes, that we now need to pay attention to when we're deciding what to eat. But it turns out that different kinds of microbes like different kinds of fiber, and that all fiber is not created equal, and that every plant has its own polysaccharides. Those are forms of fiber. They're kinds of carbohydrates, long-chain carbohydrates. And I think we're going to find that not only should you eat lots of plants, but you need to eat 5 or 10 different species every day to keep all those, because you want a lot of biodiversity inside you as well to be healthy. So I think we're going to find many more connections between biodiversity and health than we find now, and that the narrowness of the Western diet is one of its great problems. Because there are very few plants in it, and that even though it appears very diverse, when you look at a menu at a restaurant or what's available at the supermarket, a lot of those different foods are produced with the same small handful of plants. So I think there's a strong link between biodiversity and health, and in the body and in the field. I mean, so there's no trade-off. These two things go together. If we can diversify our agriculture, we can diversify our diet, and we will contribute to health on both ends of the food chain.